Hey guys, Alex here. Today I'm going to make two different styles of dog collars. I'd love to hear from you which one is your favorite. Okay, so for each one of these collars I'm going to use this inch wide Latigo strap that I've cut, an inch center bar buckle that is solid brass, and then a solid brass ring for one and a solid brass D-ring for the other. And these are going to designate the different styles of collar and how they're assembled. So each collar is going to be 17 inches, and I'm going to start off with the D-ring collar first. So we are just going to round this piece off right here. Then for the sake of saving my cutting mat there, I'm going to lay down an additional cutting board. And then really I'm just going to eyeball this. I want enough leather where when this buckle's in here, I can put a rivet behind the buckle just because it's easier to stamp in that way. Have the D-ring, and then have another rivet. So this looks like it'd be a little tight, but it's definitely enough room. I think that this is enough. So in this fold right here, I will put the hole for the buckle. Then I haven't made one of these in a while, so I'm going to see if my strap-in punch here, maybe this is called a bag punch, is big enough just on its own, or if I have to double it over. Looks like it could use a little bit more. Like that. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to fold this over evenly at its cut. I'm going to put two holes in here for rivets. Now the way I'm going to place this rivet is I'm going to put it just behind the buckle so that way I can effectively set the rivet without the buckle getting in the way. So I am going to place the rivet on its bottom end right there, just so I know where it's at. I'm going to set it back far enough. I'm going to give it a hit. And it puts an impression on the leather just enough that I can see where I want to put my hole. These new punches I got are so sharp I accidentally took a hole out of one of my cutting mats, went straight through it. Just a little frustrating. And then on this end, I want this rivet to, I want to give myself as much room as possible. It is a little tight, but I knew that going in. So I'm going to cut it from this end right about there. Give that a hit. Gives me my impression I can see. And now we're ready to install the rivets. Shout out to Tanner over at Claridge Leather for this new shop anvil I have. This will be my first time using it. When I cut these, I usually turn my nippers one way and then the other, just to kind of help start that mushrooming process and doming process of the backside of that rivet. In my mind, if I have even facets on each side, it's going to smooth out a little bit better than if I have just one sharp peak. I don't know if it makes a ton of a difference. Sorry for that shaking the camera so bad. Everything's just kind of on one table. Make sure that there's no sharp edges here because this is going to be up against the dog. And then we dome the rivet. I think all of these rivets benefit from a doming. And then sometimes when you do that, it'll ruin the smoothing out job that you did back here. So come over and pay it just a little bit more attention. Make sure that nothing's sharp. There, that's very smooth. Bring the D-ring in. Set that up. So it's tight. The D-ring isn't going to flop around too much. It's still movable. See the difference here with the rivet after it's been domed versus when it hasn't been. After using this anvil, I like it a lot. It's nice and heavy. I think it's about 10 pounds. This is, again, from Claridge Leather over on Instagram. Tanner seems to be a really nice guy. If you want one, you can reach out to him. He sells them in batches. This came off of his first batch, so I like it. I recommend it if you're looking for a shop anvil. So now we have this end of our collar done. This will hold a leash. It's not going anywhere. And now all we have to do is cut it to size. I know that the used hole is going to be 17 inches. So we'll just lay it out on our mat here. So I'm just going to center this up, put the hole on 17 inches. And I know the dogs that these are for, these are older dogs, they shouldn't be going through a lot of changes. So I'm not going to give a lot of holes here. I'm going to give one on each side of the 17 inches, and that should be plenty. And we'll just come out a little bit. Just a couple inches here, because you don't want a big tail on your leash or on your collar. So I'm going to come out 2 inches from the last hole. Cut that off. Take the edger. Edge that. Come over here and edge this piece. And just like that, dog collar is done, aside from one step that I'm going to do off camera, because I am going to use my heat imprinter, and I'm going to print the dog's name on the collar and the phone number of the owner. And then that eliminates the need for a dangly tag here, silent way, and the dog always has identification in case it runs off and gets lost. And I have used this system for my dog, same leather with the heat imprinter. He's had that on for over a year now, and you can still very easily read the numbers and the name on the collar. So it's a really great thing to do. So let's get into the next collar. Okay, so for this next collar, let's round off the edge. Edge that up real quick. I'm not burnishing these edges because this Latigo doesn't burnish very well. And also, I know that it's going to be a dog collar, and the edges that I would put on this would be destroyed immediately, so I'm just not doing it. So we'll take our centering tool, and we only need to fold this over now so the buckle has room on there. So that's about where the buckle would go, and then room for a rivet right behind the buckle. We are not putting a D-ring behind the buckle on this collar. Our trusty anvil back into play. There's a piece of granite underneath of this also. This just helps solidify everything. The reason I like to use these copper rivets, I use them a lot of times, but the reason I especially like to use them on collars is because dogs pull on their collars and they pull against the leash or their chain or wherever they're tied to, and I trust that these rivets aren't going to break. I trust that they will withstand the pulling force of the dog that it's tied to. Where I would not trust that of a snap, and I would not trust that a Chicago screw wouldn't come unscrewed eventually, because they can loosen up. Very smooth. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back just a little bit and going to give ourselves about, I'm just eyeballing this. I know that the leash's hole is going to be here, 17 inches. I think right about there. Okay, and what we're going to do here is we're going to fold this over this ring and run another rivet. One piece of the leash done. And just like this. Try to convince this leather to lay flat. Every time I set rivets on my desk, I have stuff falling off all my shelves. Again, always checking for smoothness, nothing that's going to cut or irritate. And now we lay it out. Again, 17 inches to the hole. We will give ourselves a hole to the front and rear of 17 inches. And the last collar, I came 2 inches off the first hole, or the last hole, so I'm just going to do that again because that seemed to work out pretty well. I'm going to come up just a little tiny bit, about 1/4 inch, because it doesn't matter that much. Just in case my strap-in punch is off center, it'll give me room to fix it. And it's not. Looks good. We'll edge these up. Voila. So grab this other one here. As you can see, real quick way to knock out a couple dog collars. They're very easy to make, and 2 different ways to make them. So you can either attach the leash to this D-ring, or you can attach the leash to this ring. I don't actually know which one's my favorite. This is the style that my dog wears. I've walked dogs with this style quite a bit. This is more common for sure. Let me know. Let me know down in the comments which one you guys prefer. I'd be curious to know if there's a crowd favorite or if it's really just personal preference. Well, it's obviously personal preference, but I'd be curious to know if there's a favorite style to this. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Alex with On Point Leather. Appreciate the views, the comments, the likes, all of that stuff. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you soon. Have a great day.